Feast your eyes on this original Omega vintage Speedmaster Mk2. It's hard to believe it's over 50 years old and that this watch is about a third of the value of the Speedmaster Mk1, even though it's probably the better watch. Jonathan Scatchard, my friend and watch expert, is going to tell you all about it. The information is invaluable. It's going to take him ages to get it out of the box, but I promise you, it's worth the wait. Here we go. You love Omega.
I do. Everybody thinks Omega just for hire, but Omega are a passion as well.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, they are. I know that. Well, you should know that as well, watching Jonathan Scatchard. It's Omega. He's Mr. Omega as well as many other Misters. But Omega, what have we got here?
They were so busy in the 60s and 70s, right at the height, and I'm going to keep going on about the space race and everything else, and the fact that they got the first watch on the moon through merit. I always have to say there's no product placement in that.
Right, wasn't there?
Quite brutal with their tests. You know, they brought brands, all sorts of brands, Breitling, Rolex, and they just didn't come up to all the different temperature things. And
so Omega are proper space tested. Genuinely, they didn't pay to do that.
They didn't know about it.
They didn't know about it.
I saw the first astronaut wearing a Speedmaster, and then it soon developed.
But isn't that strange to think that, though? You're going back to the 60s. I mean, in today's world of marketing, guerrilla marketing almost. I mean, the manufacturer would know they'd be placing them, but Omega didn't even know they were testing them.
No, but they had to be good. That was the whole point. It was merit. Lives depended on it, as we saw with Apollo 13.
Well, you know, I like that. A meritocracy. We don't live so much in a meritocracy today.
No,
we
it'd be
really
interesting
don't.
to see what would develop now with marketing and everything else. But then it was purely, as I said, down to that wonderful movement that Omega brought out.
Okay, good on Omega. So what have we got?
So.
Oh dear, I promise he'll get it out of the box in a second.
So once Omega did find out, and they started working with NASA, so they were making little subtle improvements, you know, protecting the crowns and things, and just doing things that were just helpful to the watch, really. And the main thing they did was come up with the Mk2 Speedmaster, where they worked and they took away a lot of the sort of failings, if you want to call them that, of the original Speedmaster. Things like the glass that was made of plastic, essentially.
Yeah.
Now they made a sapphire crystal one. They put the bezel under the glass.
Open the box. Open the box. Finally, here it comes. Wowza! That's a Funkmeister, that is.
Well, it just screams 70s, isn't it?
Bang on.
Yeah.
So what is it, early 70s?
Yes, yeah, I think it was about 69 when the first one. So it's just on moon landing time. They've been working on this. So you can see the bezels on the inside of the glass so you can't chip it. Very sensible.
Good.
You've still got the moon watch movement in it.
Is it the same movement?
Same movement, yeah, manually wound, really ultra protected. The button, that's not going to get knocked off. The side will take a blow if it needs to do, so it's a proper working watch.
Oh, yeah.
A lot less delicate than the original Speedmaster.
Right.
Problem
so this is the direct replacement of the Moon.
Well, they ran it at the side of it, because the Speedmaster originally is such an iconic watch.
Yeah.
But because they'd done all this work with NASA, it was presented to the astronauts, and apparently they were so superstitious because the Mk1 had done so well, they wouldn't change it.
You're joking.
So they've done all this technology has gone into this, and it just...
So this really should be the better watch.
Yeah, technically should be, and consequently, it doesn't fetch anything like the money.
Okay, but we spoke a moment ago about marketing. So Omega really jumped on board here. So they threw everything at it and gave it to the astronauts as a gift.
Well, yes.
In the hope that they would then...
That it would be issued. It had NASA approved it,
right.
But it never got anything, never got off the ground, literally.
Because the individual characters were so superstitious.
Yes, they've seen how well that watch did. If you watch the movie Apollo 13, you'll see them timing the entry back in using their Speedmaster. Yeah. And so why would you change it?
So, but they were offered a watch that was probably better, so designed to be better than the one that they used, but they still wouldn't change it. Oh, you see, there's human nature.
Yeah, yeah. It's really interesting.
I find that mind-boggling.
So this has just been left behind, really. I mean, they've always been a bit quirky. It's the Mk2. It's not the original, but it's not the original price.
It should be the same money, if not more.
Kind of, yeah.
Shouldn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
But because of those blighty astronauts not accepting it,
And you still see the Speedmaster, the first version of the Speedmaster, is seen as probably one of the most classic watches ever made.
Oh,
so
absolutely, yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. So this is the sort of, don't know, what would you call it? The ugly sister that nobody wants to
Maybe
talk
so,
to?
maybe so. But how much would an original Speedmaster the year before that be worth now? How much would you sell it for?
Probably £7,000, £8,000, £9,000, dependent on exactly which version of it.
Okay, Mark II version, the better watch, probably.
Yeah. And this is the best one that we've ever had. I mean, look
It's
at it,
mint,
the condition.
isn't it?
It looks like it was made yesterday.
It
and
really
they did a reissue of this fairly recently.
Did they?
So it looks a bit like the reissue, but it's the original.
It's the original. And what sort of value is that?
£2,900.
It's
not expensive.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not expensive at all.
But look how clear it is.
Oh, it's a good-looking watch. And you said it screams its period. It does.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important for you to know, in actual fact. When people talk about 20th century design, and it has to be from the decade it was designed to be from, if that makes sense, it really has to scream its year. It can't be just made in the 70s in a traditional style. It's got to scream the 70s. You've got to hold that watch and feel like you've been transported back to the 70s. And that really is doing that, isn't it?
It is. And what piece of furniture would you be sat on when you were wearing that watch? What do you
Oh,
think that
some
would go with?
Italian, maybe Vittorio Dassi, a brilliant Italian designer around in the 60s and the 70s. I'd be sat at a desk, working at a Vittorio Dassi desk, wearing that watch.
Perfect.
Oh, stop it, stop it. That is absolutely delicious. Did it come from a private collector, or?
Yes, it did. It was just somebody collected it, and typical
Yeah.
of some collectors, never got around to wearing it because it's wearing the Mark 1. So there's not a scratch on it.
That is amazing. So
Yeah, couldn't resist
2,900.
Couldn't resist it as soon as I saw it, the condition. Because usually they've been, this won't come across probably on the film, but can you see it's almost like a sunburst brushing of the steel?
Yeah,
Only
that's
the
factory
original
finish.
Yeah,
That's factory finish.
And really sharp, polished edge there.
Yes, exactly. Now these are rough, tough watches, so a guy would wear that, work in, play in, and everything else.
Take all the bangs and dints, and
Yeah.
then probably a watchmaker will polish those out for
That's
him
right.
and take the edges of the lines off. And so you do see a lot that have been fairly well worn, but sort of slightly abused. This is just factory finished.
It puts a smile on my face.
Yeah,
it's quite a fine
one of those
that.
watches, but it's not one that you get asked about very often at all. It's just a real shame. But
Now, what's your prediction then? Because we've spoken before about all different types of watches and predictions. That, to me, compared to the Speedmaster 1, is very cheap. Is it going to be discovered in years to come?
I think there still needs to be. I think the Mark 1 will probably go up even more, so it'll make them almost unattainable to a lot of people. That's when the attention will come to this.
That's what you need to happen. The Mark 1 to go through the roof even more than it is, and then that'll be dragged up.
They did do a reissue of this probably about 6 or 7 years ago. So a modern version that Omega brought out, exactly the same.
Yeah.
Didn't particularly sell that well.
Okay.
So usually a reissue bumps the price up of and the publicity that goes with it, but it just didn't get a lot of publicity.
All right.
So it's
That's an interesting watch.
It's just been a really interesting watch, really worthwhile watch to have in a collection.
I think for relatively speaking little money, I mean 3,000 quid is a lot of money, but in the world of vintage watches it really isn't. If you want to buy a bit of heritage,
you go and look at a brand new Omega, you're not going to get one for that sort of money.
No, you're not.
It's not nowhere near that kind of price now.
Jonathan, you always introduce me to fantastically interesting watches. That's
such a
really put a
huge
smile on my
world.
face.
There's so much
I
variety.
know.
In fact, I'm just going to show you something here.
What's that?
That's one auction called Omega Mania that was done in 2007.
This is the auction catalogue?
That's the catalogue, yeah.
Right. What's
so
all this about?
All different versions of Omegas that were in one sale.
Oh, this is like a Bible.
It is like a Bible. We use it as a Bible. Just look at the write-ups. There's so much variety. You don't realise how big a brand it was. And this auction was put together with Omega, some of their own old stock pieces.
Right.
And they indeed did buy some pieces from it as well. Lots of historic pieces.
So
it's called Omega Mania.
And can people buy this?
Oh, you'd have to find it on eBay or something, but if you can find it at a reasonable price,
okay,
you like watches.
Is this a top tip for a collector?
Absolutely, yeah, we use it. We use it all the time. It's got the information, the model numbers, and a bit of background of these things. And sometimes you see something you've never seen before, and then look through here, and there it is. It's really useful.
Well, there you go. Information is king, and power and money, and that's a book full of information. So let's just show the viewer that. So if you're interested in buying an Omega then you recommend they try and source one of these?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, okay, so it's all the information you need, and you can see that's very well read.
Yeah, we use it a lot.
Do you read that at night before you go to
not
bed?
that sad.
Yes, you do.
No, I'm not
That's
that
bedtime reading. I know you. It is. He lives and breathes watches.
We were excited when this auction first came out, I must admit, and the results were outstanding.
Well, and the results have just kept on going,
yes,
haven't they?
This, in some ways, kick-started it a bit. It really gave the credibility to the brand with their history.
And what year was this auction again?
2007.
2007, yeah, that's really what the last 10, 15 years, things have been going crazy, haven't they?
Yeah.
Wonderful. I love that watch. 2,900 quid. If I had the spare money, I would have it. Jonathan,
do a deal?
Yeah, let's do a deal. Shall we do a deal? We'll try and do a deal. All right, I'll offer you something that you might want. Actually, genuinely, I might have a go at that. Okay, Jonathan, great to see you.
Yes, you too.
As ever.
Welcome to the Drivers Club again.
I know, it's cool, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's a
nice.
cool sport.
It's something special.
And this is where you are. This is where you base yourself.
Yeah.
This is not a bad working environment, is it?
No, it's
seriously.
We love it, and there's always different things, different pictures coming, and it's fascinating.
Okay, well, I'm going to buy you lunch.
That sounds like a deal.
Okay, lunch
Perfect.
on me. All right, and thanks for watching, everybody. As ever, I'm David Harper. Cheerio.
I'm Jonathan Scouchard. Bye bye.
Bye bye.